I just want to welcome everybody. I hope everybody's having a good night. Tonight, we are going to have Lacey Greer's mother on, and we are going to have Joseph Parker's parents on. So I just want to remind everybody to please be very kind and very courteous and keep that in mind. Um, you will be, I have some very, very good mods in the chat. You will be banned. I'm not going to put up with that. Just be nice. Let's remember that these are teenagers, and I don't know about you, but when I was their age, my parents didn't know everything. Uh, I asked them to come do this because they've never had an opportunity like we have. We know now. This case is 2 decades old, and there's so much we don't know. There was never too much put out, and so I've invited them to come speak, and I just hope everybody can be respectful. So I'm going to have them come on now, and I just want everybody to just show them some support and welcome them. I am going to take this down so that is not in their face when they come on. Hi, Michelle. Hello. Hi. Hello.
Hey. How you doing?
I'm very happy to have you guys here. And I only say that, I'm very, very saddened for the reason, obviously. But, as we go along and we get to know, there was just not a lot known. And, a lot of opportunities that didn't get made. And I'm really just happy to be able to give you this opportunity. We have, like I said, Michelle is Lacey Greer's mom, and the Parkers are Joseph's parents. So I welcome you.
Thank you. We're glad to finally get our voice out there for our kids.
Yeah, that was one of the things that, just going about this. And I first reached out to Jackie. Um, and, she was a little hesitant to speak. She was. And I don't think anybody can blame you that knows a little bit about what the situation. So I'm just really happy you guys that are here. And then, I got a hold of Michelle, and I'm very glad that you guys agreed to do this. I am. I think it's time. I think everybody can agree, at least agree on that. It's time.
It's way past time.
So, kind of how I like to do things is and even for me, I just want to know who they are. Throughout all of this, a lot wasn't posted. And I do have an article that was sent to me of like classmates that did a thing in the newspaper, which I'll pop up here in a little bit. But there was nothing posted about who they were even. So I would like to start there. Michelle or Jackie or Joe, if whoever wants to go. Um, I just we can start, Jackie. We can start there.
What kind of person he was?
Yeah.
Uh,
What was he into in school? What did he like? What did he enjoy?
I mean, he was a good kid. Yeah, I mean, he come. I mean, I didn't see him for 8 years because their mama moved away
Okay.
to Indiana. I didn't have no idea where they
Oh
was
yeah,
at.
that's a stretch. I'm in Ohio. Yeah. Oh well, you guys are, but
And
yeah.
I mean, he come when he come back to Tennessee. He always wanted to be with me, and stuff. And I mean, I took him. I mean, he would stay with me on the weekends. And I'd take him to school. You know, the you know on Monday morning, I'd go all the way to Gainesboro. I'd take him to school.
Yeah.
Then I'd go to work. I mean, but he was just amazing. I mean, he was so friendly, uh, kind hearted, you know, and everything. It's just it's just sad. I mean, he loved to go fishing. I my nephew Ben, he come down here one year, him and his friends, and I took them all fishing on Dale Hollow Lake, and we had a great time. I mean, we went to the pool. He just didn't want to be away from me, and I mean, it's sad to say he asked me. He said, "Can I come live with you?" I said, "Now that's up to your mama." But now she wouldn't let him. I mean, and I don't
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know why. Well, in a way I do, but I mean, I've got a picture right there of him right now. We was at the pool together. We keep it here
Can we
by the
see
computer
that?
room.
Do you have it? Is it in a frame that you can? I would love to see that. Oh yes, yes, you dropped that in there. And how old was he there?
He was probably about 9, 10 years old.
Oh, yeah. Just hearing about all of them, they
And
just seem like kids that just everybody loved. I have not heard a bad thing. They just were likable kids. They were very well liked.
yeah, I
Just
mean, but
normal,
I mean,
going teenagers.
I mean, I just, I love being around him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, he was like me. I mean, I mean, I know. I mean, a lot of people think. I mean, he's got another brother, Christopher,
Okay.
and of
How old
course,
is
I
Chris?
mean, he still lives in Gainesboro.
How old's Christopher?
How's Christopher? He just turned he 40.
Okay.
Bubby would be exactly uh 39 this year.
Wow. Okay, I'm
So
32. That
yeah,
really puts things into perspective.
Christopher was a year older than him, and
Oh, yeah,
but now
wow. I imagine they were close.
She said was like close.
oh
I get I mean, it's hit or miss. I have a sister that's a year and 4 months older than me. We have our
well,
moments.
I mean, I know this is it's hard to say, but I'm gonna be honest because I've got to be. I mean, uh, 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 Bubby's a lot. Bubby was a lot different than Christopher. I
Yeah.
mean, a
Yeah.
90-degree angle. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Bubby, when he worked at the karate plant down there in Gainesboro when he got off school.
Yeah.
He come back. I said Christmas just before all this happened. It was Christmas.
It's okay. You just take your time. It must be difficult to talk about after all this time.
He come that Christmas. He brought me some Christmas presents. That
Yeah.
I love Jeff Gordon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he brought me some posters and stuff, and I still got them stacked. I mean, I still got them. And
I imagine.
and I tell you who was with him, who brought him, Derek Stafford.
I hear they all hung out together.
and and then February 9th is when it all happened. I was at work and Jackie come told my she wouldn't talk to me. She called one of my friends out, my buddy that was working there, and called him outside. That's when we learned about it. So the TBI agents let us know that they took him to Nashville, but they was pretty sure that Bubby was one of the four teenagers. We met the next day. The TBI agents had one of them big old
Mobile.
Winnebagos
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
they do
Mhm.
investigation with. They're in the parking lot of of the old grade school in Gainesboro. We met them, and that was I don't know, probably I can't remember exactly the time. It was sometime in the evening. Me and Jack went
Yeah.
there, and they they told us what was going on. The next day, they took us up there. Still, the tape was around the crime scene, but everybody was walking all over it.
Yeah.
We, my sister, come down from Indiana, and we walked through that. Well, she come down the next day after that. But anyway, we walked through that place. There was a brick slab where they had added on to the trailer. That was the only thing left in the trailer, part of the trailer. There was four imprints on the trailer. To my selection, there was four imprints. It was burnt. And I just tell you, to me and Jackie, it looked like bodies had been set there.
Yeah.
But
I can't imagine.
we could not say that. But what I want to know is, how can you do it? Who was there first on the crime? I know the fire department was, but why was there a crowd of people there during the fire? And then after the fire, it should have been roped off
Yeah.
and waited until the
Absolutely.
investigators from the TBI and fire marshals got there. But they done picked up evidence.
Absolutely.
I
Right?
mean, it's it's just a. I still think there's still corruption. I'm going to say it. There's corruption
Hey.
in this somehow or a way or another. And I just tell you, if Cookie Lynch was involved, there was definitely something wrong about it. I mean, and people don't want me to say this. Yes, his father, his grandpa, one time was the sheriff of Jackson County.
Now, there's a lot of people out there that question that, and they say since that Sheriff Lynch didn't claim him or they weren't family, but I have very strong sources and beliefs saying that they were, related, whether he claimed him or not, and I think it's a very big. I think it's relevant.
Well, and also what I don't understand is how is not if Derek Stafford was the only kid that survived that. Now, this is February 9th, okay? Cold. You know how cold it is in February.
Oh,
Why would he go out to the car and stay in the car? And then the
yeah.
flames, they said, were so hot. This is what, God rest his soul, Johnny Ledbetter told me, because he was married to
Cheryl.
Cheryl Stafford, which was
There's that.
Derek's aunt, which was her grandpa's property, that trailer. Because them people, the grandpa and them was in the nursing home. They went there to party.
Yeah.
They took their girlfriends and stuff.
It was just friends.
They were just friends. Well, they
Yeah.
were just
Yeah.
friends.
There's been people, that's confirmed that there was supposed to be a lot of people out there and a lot of people ended up didn't not showing up and that's been confirmed. Yeah, some people just decided not to go. So it was kind of a get together thing and and Lacey, um, Greer was one of those girls that happened to be out there. And I have heard all the rest of them, I've heard wonderful things about Lacey as well as Joseph. And it just, what I wanted to know, were they friend, I know from accounts of who was close to who as far as the four. But I don't I'm trying to get were they close to each other?
We have no idea. I mean, seriously, we have no idea. I mean,
I was just wondering if they were friends, if Lacey and Joseph were friends too. Or was it just kind of they knew some were more acquainted with the other people there that night?
well,
Lacey
wait.
and Elizabeth were good friends.
Well,
Okay.
Uh, TJ, I knew of him, but I had never heard of Joseph.
Okay.
But I've been told that he had been at my house before.
Okay. So tell
But there
tell
was
me
always a lot of kids at my house.
I bet. uh, so tell me about Lacey. I want to
Lacey
hear.
she had a huge heart. She had a mouth on her that got her in trouble a lot,
Who I can
mm-hmm.
relate.
but that heart made up for it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think she would have been in the medical field because a teacher sent me a card afterwards and said that a student in one of her classes started having a seizure and that every kid ran out of the classroom scared except for Lacey. She stayed there to help him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And there was wrecks a lot where we lived at, and Lacey was always the first one out the door to go help. And one wreck in particular, the truck had flipped over, and she ran down there. She ran out the door. She told me to call 911. And she come back and she was laughing. And she said, Mom, he was so drunk. And she said, that door wasn't open. And she said, he come out there. It was like squeezing a pimple. It was so tight, him getting out of that door. She thought it was so funny. But she did have a mouth on her, though. She got in trouble because of that mouth, but she had a huge heart.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And it just seems like they all did. They were just such wonderful kids. It sounds like just from hearing everybody talk about them
Her
too.
little kitten had just got ran over and killed like a week before.
Oh,
Yeah.
And she was in her room crying, and I went in there and held her.
Mm.
So she said, Mama, it's my baby in heaven.
Mm. Honey. Hey, we need justice. That's all you can say. I mean, me and this woman here have been fighting for 20 years, and I mean, it's pitiful that people don't. I mean, the cover up. I mean, the lies, and I mean, I know. I mean, just like I told Jackie, you can solve a case by God, as long as you got this right here. It all depends who you know. I mean,
Mhm.
but the way I look at it, I mean, we got disgraced the first time that we went to the DA's office. I mean, they act like we we didn't matter, or them kids didn't matter. I mean, it's pitiful. I mean, and something's got to be done about it.
Absolutely. And just by learning the details, and the accounts, it does appear just they just wanted it to go away. A lot of people didn't know even if it was an accident or not, and some people believed it was closed. It's not closed, is it?
No,
It's never been closed.
I mean,
It's
it,
always been an
It's
open case.
it's cold, but it's not closed.
yeah. I mean, but
So what were late? I know Lacey. She was in contact with a few people, right before she went. Michelle, how did you tell me about that? How did you find out?
Some
you
kid
want
called me and asked to speak to my son, and I told him he wasn't there. And he said, well, I just wanted to tell him that two of his friends died in a house fire last night. And he mentioned the two boys. And then he said there was two others in there and they didn't know who they were. But he didn't want to tell me, of course, who they thought.
Absolutely.
And so after that phone call, I called the sheriff's department and said that I had just been told that my daughter had died in a house fire. And she said, what's your name? And I gave her my name. She said, somebody will be calling you back. That's the end of that call. And it was still 2 to 3 hours later before anybody came to the house to talk to us.
Oh,
And mentioning the day that we went to the DA's office, I took a picture of Lacey.
yes, I was gonna.
And the DA sat across the table from me. And when he did, I took my picture and I set it on the table facing him. He reached over and grabbed that picture and slammed it down. He said, I dare you bring a picture of your daughter in here when my son is laying in Vanderbilt on life support. I said, thank God you still got your son.
Amen. I am so sorry.
well,
They have they don't care.
No.
It's just something to them to take up their time. That's all it was. They don't care.
um, I, uh, 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 I still got the cards. I've had it for 20 years. Greg Whitaker was the investigator at the time. I still got his number, and I got the other DJ's number on the back because they changed
Mm-hmm.
they changed
Mm-hmm.
TBI agents for some reason. I have no idea why. So, I mean, we met with him a couple times. One time we met him here in Salina at the park down there at Donaldson Park. It was a black man and a white guy. We met down there at the park, and I thought big news was happening, and it was the same old stuff we always heard. And then we went. Then finally the bomb squad bar marshal, arson man, come up there, and he met us at McDonald's in Livingston, and that's where I got. You understand what I'm saying? I got the
Mm-hmm.
tape recorder.
Yeah. I was not going to say anything. I was going to leave that totally up to you. So, yeah, I know. Yeah. So,
What
so
I
you
don't
do
The
have
understand.
it.
fire
You
marshal
do have
was so convinced.
what did you say, Michelle? I'm so sorry.
The fire marshal was so convinced that it was intentionally said that he offered part of the reward for an arrest.
That's what I was going to ask you. What initially,
Mhm.
right, the very first time that you talked to anybody officially, what were they kind of hint? What were their vibes that they were giving you? What were they telling you?
Well, when they came to the house, they just were telling us that there was 4 bodies. There was a fire. They needed dental records for identification,
Oh, I'm so sorry,
and
Michelle.
we gave them the dentist, and they left.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That was it.
That's it.
I'm so
That's it.
sorry.
I'm Moisey.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
And what they told us when we first met with them, they told us that they had all information that they needed.
Ah, I'm so sorry. So, and because that's my biggest thing is, there's a lot of people that thought, they're confused. They thought it was an accident. And, so it's always been a big question to me. Well, what were they telling these parents? What were their suspicions? What were they leaning towards at that time?
They weren't telling me anything. I would hear things, and I would call them, and he would say, "I'll check into that. I'll check into that," and I would never hear anything back. And I called him so much that I feel like he threatened me to close the case if I didn't leave him alone. So I backed off some.
That's and that's frightening. That's intimidating.
Can I ask you something? I mean, the time the DA was Tommy Thompson, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It seemed like he had a lot of unsolved cases under his belt.
Yeah. It does. It's starting this series in general has brought forth a lot of victims out there crying about these officials and a very few, a few names. We know Dunaway has come up, Funk. A lot of names, have really zoned down there to be in quite a good handful of them, and it's pretty alarming that this has gone on. And what, it's 2 decades for you guys now, and people want to say that the past is not relevant, and I believe in some situations it is until it's not. You know what I mean? And I believe it's very much relevant. It's a network. A lot of people from out of there have said, it's the good old boys rule. They take care of each other. They look out for each other.
that's what it is.
And that's why, we decided to, I came in just trying to help out the 13th district. And that's how I found out about you guys. Because, now they're kind of seeing that this just isn't happening in the 13th. It's happening everywhere, and their network, it's spread. It's that good old boys networking that we're
Mhm.
trying to make everybody very aware of. So yeah, I do. I believe, and it's an issue. Um so I wanted to ask you about um this coroner that did these autopsies. And with everything that has been out, this lead, at least we'll call it, it's this lead that they had. And then we have this coroner who was ultimately fired for pretty gross things. I mean, it's just not falsifying reports that was in there, but all the way down to some pretty gross things that they just chalked up to odd behavior. And to me, you know, I'm not, you guys don't ever have to go into too much detail on that. That is your privacy. But there's a lot of questions out there about what is being said and what was bragged to happen that night and then you have the autopsy. And we have the coroner who we can't trust. And my thing and many of the questions are if respectfully there was an opportunity for the bodies to be exhumed, because many believe that is grounds enough to have them brought up, respectfully and retested, kind of start over. And I think really that would be after evidence lost, handed over, and all this 2-decade-old mystery, I think that could be some pretty definitive places to start. He was so crooked. How can we trust what was in those autopsy reports?
We can't.
And anybody can go, on the page can go look him up. He was, I just don't think we can trust. And then, do you guys have any reports from that, from anything? Any
Yeah,
police reports, fire
they
department
wouldn't give them to
reports,
us.
Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing. The only thing we've got is autopsy reports. That's that
Michelle, do you have the
that's
autopsy
all we
report?
have.
I do have it.
Okay. I mean, I'm glad at least that you guys have that, if anything. I mean, you
Well,
guys deserve so much more
they wouldn't give us a report about
because
the
it's an open case,
investigation.
and that's what their excuse is. It's just an open case.
Yes.
The TBI agent told me that it's so complicated that there's no way another agent could come in and solve it.
And it's just crazy because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the vibes I'm getting is, there was a lack of evidence, which many question, was there, or was it just lost, or whatever, what have you, or, we know the crimes, it wasn't secure. I know at least all the way up until 8 a.m. that morning that it wasn't secured yet with even tape. And people were, like you said,
Somebody
walking
called
around.
me. Some girl called me from the crime scene and asked me if I had talked to Lacey, and I said no. Have you? And she said, "Don't you know she died in a house fire last night?" Yeah, that was real sensitive, wasn't it?
Yeah, no.
She knows who she is.
Well, I still want to know about. I mean, is it submissible in court? Lie detector test ain't submissible in court, or that's what we was told.
No, but they do very much, if you go look at the Chris Watts case, if you've heard of that, I covered that pretty heavily. And they note it heavily if they failed or not. I mean, they freaking put his on TV because it was so high profile that he failed it. They'd put the whole lie detector test interview on public TV. So yeah, I mean, whether it's admissible or not, people note it, and it's taken into high account.
Well, somebody failed it 3 times.
I knew of 2 times. I didn't know there was a third.
Well, that's what we was told.
That's what we was told.
And who told you that?
So I mean,
No, not specifically. Never asked for that, but you just know. I mean, was it a reliable source?
Very reliable.
Okay, that's what I'm more looking for. It's very credible source, credible person. Because, they want to say a lot of this is based off of hearsay. And that was one of the reasons why they couldn't just never get it solved. And, the further I go along, I mean, up until Friday, let's talk about that Friday. I'm having accounts that, there was been a conversation or something going on all week that those staff members were very well aware of. And so much that they waited in preparation he came to the school. And I want to know more about that. I hear that Cookie had an aunt that worked at the school, was a teacher, and she is still in the school system to this day. And that he was allowed to, go to dances and go to just being who he was. And I think it's safe to say people were afraid of Cookie. So it's just very interesting to know. And my reason for bringing this up is those staff members would be pretty credible accounts. And if they talk to the TBI is what I want to know. Because if they did, then, well, that kind of just blows that out of the water then. Because there was this whole situation. Everybody seemed to take Cookie seriously except for
The
investigators.
TBI.
And yeah, and I want to know why. And they want to know why. And you guys, out of all, everybody out there, deserve to know why. I think that's
I never heard about that.
yes.
No.
I know. And I will take the heat all day. I will protect anybody that's willing to come talk to me and you guys. But yeah, that's the big issue is nobody knows these things. And it all is relevant. After 2 decades, may I remind people listening, this happened back in 2002.
But does anybody know if
I want to know if they talked to them teachers out there and what they told them, because I think that'd be a good place to start with credibility.
Oh,
I didn't know that staff members heard about it. I just knew the students did. I've had several kids to tell me that they told the agents about it.
After school Friday, I'm getting accounts that Cookie came out there. People seen him out there.
They even questioned my son. And we walked in the courthouse down there. There was so many kids in that courtroom just waiting to be interviewed by them.
I've heard that a couple of people went to the, I'm not sure what he was, SRRO. That he was the security guard for the school. He was whoever he was. We don't have to name him, but kids went to him too and told him that they were scared. It was very well known. And whether he went to investigators or not is the question. And if he did, then I feel is another credible person. They want to say these are hearsay accounts, but you have all these direct people. These were, and I have, many of them have said we were kids back then. Nobody wanted to nobody wanted to listen, and it was hearsay. It was gossip, and that's what they chalked it up to. Well, if it was just gossip,
well, there's a couple that knows a lot more than they're telling.
And then, it just so happened to be, there may have been a target. And, he made it very well known who that target was. And it just so happened, all these people took him pretty serious. And then it comes Saturday, it just seems to a lot of people that those threats were followed through. So I have we have a few people that have agreed to come talk openly on the channel with me, and they're gonna come talk about some accounts, and they're brave, and I we know one of them, but the one will come public and won't be they would rather stay publicly anonymous, and I'm fine with that. I tell everybody you don't have to come public and show your face or your name. We behind here, we know, but we have a few people that have been brave enough to come talk, and they say it's time. Everybody says it's time. It's time. They did nothing, and that's what I've been telling that, come talk. We want to listen. We want to hear it, and we want to show them. So they've agreed, and so I think tomorrow night and Monday we're gonna have some people come talk. And they're not
adults now with kids of their own, so they know the love for a child.
Yes.
And you can't even imagine what it feels like to lose one. There is no other pain in this world like the pain of losing a child.
Nope.
But you guys are a part of a very select group that nobody wants to be a part of.
Yes,
You
they
know,
robbed me of having grandbabies. They robbed me of seeing my daughter walk down the aisle to get married.
Exactly. I mean,
Graduate
Those
high
kids
school.
weren't doing anything to anybody.
they weren't graduated yet. You guys missed graduation. Yeah. You guys didn't get to see that.
it's just hard. I mean, it has been for 20 years.
It's something you think about every day of your life. Every day.
Yep. And
I wanna ask something, and it's probably going to be the same answer as any family in your situation. It's not gonna bring closure completely. You're never gonna get them back, but you need, justice. How would that feel for you?
Wonderful.
hmm,
Wonderful.
yeah.
I don't know. I can't answer that honestly.
It's okay, Michelle.
Relief. I know relief that something's finally been done,
Yeah, yeah, damn right.
but there will ever be closure.
No,
But we never got to see our kids to tell them goodbye. We never got to see them that last time. We couldn't have an open casket to tell them goodbye.
No. And it's it's a shame. I mean, it's I don't I, words can't describe how I feel every day.
And everybody says Cookie, Cookie, Cookie. Cookie didn't do it alone, and he may not even done it, but he knows who did and why they did, and they probably did it for him. He's just a little punk. I don't know why everybody's scared of him. I never understood that.
Everybody was scared of Cookie for some
that's
reason.
what yeah.
For some reason, Cookie could get away with anything. I
Even
mean,
if he didn't do it,
it's
just think how he's walked around all these years knowing people thought that of him. And the way he lives his life, that was something to be proud of for him.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Why? I mean, I even heard one time he went around bragging about it.
Yeah, I did too.
Went around bragging about it, and
I have
I'm
heard
telling you,
I've heard from some of the people that yeah, he did. I think it's safe to say that he did go bragging about it, you know, and it's and
but
and when they want to throw around hearsay and gossip, I understand there could have been. I'm sure you guys have heard some crazy things that could have happened to your baby out there, some crazy theories, but there is just this resounding base story, and it's just how long can you call it hearsay or a story if you have all of this information? And I feel there was credible people in there, and I just, how do you call this hearsay? I
I
just
agree.
I still think Derek Stafford had something to do with it. I I'm sorry. I shouldn't, but now that just don't make no sense to me. Well, he would be outside in the car, and on my
Or at
tape,
the very
they
least,
said
you
they moved the
knew.
car three
That's the
times, and they told me it was on fire. That Johnny Johnny Ledbetter had to pull him out of the car to save him.
yeah.
They moved the car three times. What the fire marshal told me, and I've got it on the tape.
I would be. I we have talked about that recording, and you've told me some interesting things that come about it, and I find the person that you're talking to is pretty credible, and what they have to say would be very interesting for people to hear. I think, um, and, just on the subject of just credible people, you know what I mean? So yeah, and you've had that for 20 years, 20
20 years.
What?
that tape for 20 years. So I had somebody ask, I'm going to go through, if you don't mind. I'm just going to pop it and read something. You guys have a lot of support. I popped this one up a little bit ago from Megan Parker that said, "Hey, Bubba." Um, we got Lisa in the chat. She said, "It's tough, but we're here for you guys." And, she says it's also relevant. Um, we have Lacey had a heart, compassionate. And yeah, that's what the vibes that from everybody,
Mhm.
all of the friends and people that were around say, yeah, yeah, she was. Yeah. People need to put these parents' shoes on. It's hell on earth. And Lisa knows she's in that group. Her son Aaron Shanky, we've had an episode on him too. She
Mhm.
knows. And she knows that about that corruption very well.
Go back to
I had somebody, where is it? Um,
I'm sorry for your loss, Lisa.
yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. She knows. She knows. And she was the one that she brought me in, and I told her I'm thankful because I seen that billboard, and I got to know. JC says, "Oh my gosh, Michelle, I'm so sorry. I'd have lost my shit." And I think she's referring to the picture frame back when you
Mhm.
brought Michelle's or Lacey's picture frame. Yeah, that I was horrified. I'm not gonna lie, Jackie kind of said something that you should ask Michelle about the picture frame and what they said when she brought it in, and and then when you told me, it's disgusting. Is there? I just don't think there's any other word for that. I can't imagine how that made you feel. And the fact that you didn't reach over the table and
Mhm.
smack that man just shows how strong you
Mhm.
are. Because I would have. I don't know. Yeah. And I understand the strength it takes not to, because I will rephrase that. I don't understand, but it shows the amount of strength that you have to refrain, and the reason behind that. So they asked if you have ever, I'm trying to find it through the comments here, but I keep there's just so many people here supporting you. There somebody said, "God bless you all. We are all reliving this together." And yeah, you all are. It was just so shoved down. There was one that said, "Have you talked to the TBI lately? Have you talked to investigators lately?"
No.
What,
I've just
Michelle?
been waiting on Tommy Thompson to get out of office.
And I know, well, because I know that there was a call made and a sit down maybe. I think that's what they're, and we're hoping for a meeting for everybody.
Yep.
So,
That's what we're hoping for.
so I just want to just, I'm not saying nothing else and everything, but I just wanted to just make it known to, kind of hold them accountable to that. You guys deserve that, and I hope they give you good answers. So now hopefully that they'll call you with a date.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
That would be nice.
Oh, it'd be great. Needs to be heard.
Shayna Dawn says, God bless you all. You're in my prayers. Love you, Michelle. Sherry.
That's
Love you
my sweet
too.
cousins. That's more like sisters.
Love you too, honey. I thank you for everything you do.
Lisa said,
And love
protect
you
it.
too, Michelle.
I love you, Joe, Jackie.
Now I invited TJ's mom on. She hasn't really gotten back, but I extend it to any family, that wants to come talk. Um, I think it's time. I think that you guys have all, you guys are all separate families, and they were all separate people, but you guys are all connected by this very much.
Well, Elizabeth's family was told from the beginning it was an accident. And
You
she
know,
lived with her grandparents. They were older, and she had a brother, but he was told it was an accident. He said he heard some of the rumors, but he's one of those, I think, that keeps his feelings down.
yeah,
And so he just listened to the rumors and went on thinking it was an accident. And somebody reached out to him, said, you've started talking. And he messaged me and said, hey, what's going on? And he
it's
doesn't know anything, but he's here for us. He's here with us. He's
yes.
backing us up.
Yeah, and that's so. I mean, that's heartbreaking to think about, and that's exactly what I'm saying. For people to 2 decades later and throughout that time for him to think it was an accident, for people to be saying all of it. There's just so much, and it's heartbreaking. He deserves to know. You all deserve to know
Exactly.
more than that. Especially, you know what I mean? Just more than that.
Right. It's been hard being lied to for 20 years.
So yeah. Um,
I mean,
I've had people come out of the woodwork and be pretty mean. So I believe we're on the right track. I've had some people warn people about that YouTuber, and they're very vague about it, but I'm the only one that I know of that's done a YouTube anything podcast about this. So it just, the message was sent, but and I kind of, when Lisa came to me, I said, you know what, if you get me some families to want to come talk publicly, I will piss some people off with my mouth. I can relate to Lacey. But I promise I have a big heart, and that's why I think I understand her very well. And what, at the end of the day, the fact that you may have a meeting, which I hope they are held accountable and set a date if they're listening. Then I will take it. It's worth it. That's what we started this thing for. And
I had somebody close to me to say it was kind of sad for somebody to use this for YouTube views. I said, I don't care what it takes to get people
Oh,
talking and possibly get this case solved. I don't care how many YouTube views you get
I
over it.
mean, we got to think about it. This was 2 decades ago. People barely had a phone back then, a cell phone, you know?
Hmm.
Never, no, I just don't think anybody ever imagined being able to do this with this. And it's just really rubbing some folks wrong. And that's all I wanted to do was just everything was so scattered, everything was such a mystery, you know. I just wanted to bring it to, and you know, I told everybody last night, if I wanted likes and shares, I would be all over the Summer Wells case, which I will do an
Hmm.
episode on her because she's a part of Tennessee and a part of what we're doing here. But
Hmm.
I my whole page is based on people like Lacey, TJ, Elizabeth, and Joseph who didn't get that chance. And now they are. And so,
And we thank you so much.
and
Yes,
that's
we
all.
do.
Because the moment you guys tell me I can shut up, I will. Shoot.
I'm not going
Okay.
to tell you.
No, we
And
ain't
then
gonna do that.
No.
I believe that day. I believe that day will come. I'm holding out hope to where you guys can say, okay, all right, we are getting somewhere. We can back down now. Because you have tons of support. You are one of the fam now. You're in. And we got some bears in there, so they'll take care of all those mean people.
Good.
But I think what you're doing is brave, especially, you know, for the corruption that you're up against. To I mean, really, I mean, that's what it is. In my opinion, that's my opinion and the opinions of lots of other people that that feel the same way you do. And yeah, you're here, you're in now. Yeah,
Thank you. And whoever's working with you, I thank them too.
I thank everything you do for us.
May says, "I love you guys. I'm in
Hey,
this to help with the fight to
nothing
get
but
justice
love,
for
baby,
my
for you.
brother and the other families involved in this horrible crime. People are grown now. Speak up. What if this was your child?" And I really, and that's, you know, it's tough. So I appreciate the brave ones that are, and even more taking the step to come speak on the channel. And I think a lot of them do have kids that were all of their ages, and it's, you know, I say times change and loyalties change, and not for any other reason but life and priorities, and I think it's time, you know, people take that into account. I have people telling me that people are only talking because Cookie's locked up, and when he gets out, he nobody will be talking then. And you know that sets a tone. I mean, how does that make everybody feel? So yeah, we need those credible people to come forward.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, if that doesn't tell you the fear that he instills, I don't know what. And these are people that are defending, you know, defending good names being nasty. And it's just, it really paints a picture.
But I'm with Joe on Derek Stafford. I have said from day one about him, and I've never had that feeling to go away.
It seems that they don't want all these families together for a reason. Well, yeah, because, I mean, they don't want all of us together for a reason. Because we'll compare notes, we'll compare and confirm and do the things that they were supposed to do, I guess. You know, if we're being honest.
Mm.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you have lived this for 20 years. I pray you get some answers soon. Stay strong. You have gave me strength to go on for my niece.
Good.
Good. And that's awesome. I mean, you guys are going
Mm.
to be just an inspiration for a lot more people to be willing to come come speak and come forward and, that was fight back or however they want to call it.
Mhm.
And that's awesome.
Well, just like one time I called Greg Winkler one night. It was probably about 2 weeks after it all happened. He told me to call him anytime. I called him that night. He answered the phone. He asked me what I was doing calling him. I said, well, I just want to know about the investigation. He told me I was interrupting him and he would get back to me when in his time.
Mm,
And that's when I specifically asked him, and Jackie was right there. I said, sir, I said, you got kids? He
No.
said, yes, sir. I said,
He told me
you ever
no.
lost one? He said, no. I said, well, don't tell me what I should do. I said, I just want to know about my kid and what happened.
absolutely.
But they
It's
they've swept it under the rug for 20 years. And somebody's going to have to give us some answers. I mean, that's just the way I look at it. I mean, yeah, I, 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 I just want justice.
yes.
I mean, somebody's going to have to confess up to it. Something was done wrong. I don't know where the fire marshals and the TV, I don't know if they come from Nashville or Knoxville. I have no idea. But it seems like to me, if you had a major fire like that, if you was the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, you should have put the fire out, not went over there and inspected it and wait until the investigators got there. Because you're not an investigator. Just because you're a lawman don't mean you're an investigator. You do not know what to look for. And then you sit there and let people walk all over the place. I mean, that was ridiculous. I mean, that's not an investigation. An investigation, by God, takes more than one day, I would think. 24 hours.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was amazing. I mean, we was walking on the place the next day. I mean, and the yellow ribbon's still up. There was, I remember a kerosene can being over outside the woods. I've even still got a piece I got from the house fire, but I got it's a brush and everything that was there. I mean, there was stuff that I mean that was a that was the worst investigation I've ever seen in my life on something I got that major. I mean,
There's a few bystanders from that morning could agree that it was not secured properly. There was nothing done to secure anything there was nothing that appeared they were going about it as if it was just nothing more than an accident. And they didn't secure anything. They went at it as it was an accident and, there was nothing really to secure.
I mean, just like I asked the district attorney the other day when I had him on the phone. I said, sir, I said, I mean, is this death certificate? I said, it ain't worth the paper it's wrote on. And I said, because the man that done the autopsy, he got kicked out of the state of Tennessee. Am I right?
Yes.
For doing autopsies in a warehouse.
He had autopsies in a basement warehouse, body parts and jars. He was falsifying documents. They had him on trial, being a witness while he was being investigated.
I mean, there's just a
So
lot of.
you can't go by what that man said.
I
So
mean,
that's just grounds right there. A lot of people are saying, what the hell? There you go. That's enough.
But I mean, why can't we get a report of an investigation? I mean, are we allowed for that?
They use the Lisa will tell you about that. They won't give her anything because she won't close the case. Her son was said to have committed suicide around 9 people with 3 different stories, and he, he didn't break his neck, and his girlfriend was in the room that he would, and they will not have let her have anything unless she closes that case. So if you were going there and say that you would close the case, they would hand over things. But until then, no. Then they use that excuse, and it makes you wonder: do they really, do they want it closed? And are they just solely basing this, saying this is all hearsay because they don't want it closed? What are they hiding? Like I was telling you privately, that Holly Bobo case, those investigators fucked up, excuse me, so bad that they created laws to protect themselves from having to show you guys where they fucked up. And if it's an open investigation, I mean, Lisa can't even get a 911 transcript because it's not closed. She won't rule it as suicide because everybody knows that it wasn't, and she won't close it. So she'd be a good one for you guys to talk to. She would understand the rules a lot. She said, she's in the comments. She says, not unless you agree to close the case, and she says they can kiss my ass because she will not.
Well, I don't want this one closed until somebody's prosecuted.
No.
Exactly, and that, she's yes,
No.
Mhm.
and
No.
nobody can blame you.
What if one of the other parents was to close it? Would we have a choice?
That is a good.
Since
If anybody else,
I would think we would all have to agree.
yeah, wouldn't you?
That's what I would say. I mean,
I would think so, because it's one it's one case essentially. We will get that. I mean, I'm sure that everybody would have to agree on it. But
I just want to know who's got the investigation report, since both parties denied having it.
amen.
Because
Yeah.
they said, by God, the sheriff, after he left the office, took it with him, and all the files were lost. That's what we was told.
Which is crazy.
TBI agents said they didn't have it. I called Jackson County. They didn't have it. TBI, by God, said Jackson County still have it, and Jackson County said TBI had it.
Mm.
I mean, something's wrong there. I mean, that comes straight out of the horse's mouth.
JC says the medical examiner, he had his medical license pulled and he was still signing death certificates. I mean, this is just, it's crazy.
I mean, there's just a lot of, it's just amazing how you can cover up stuff.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of credibility to that something is being hidden.
And of course, I mean, being a small town, I mean, it's just like Clay County. I mean, you can cover up a lot of stuff. I mean, you know the right people. I mean, but there was too many people involved in this. I mean, when we got to the crime scene the next morning, you could specifically tell. I mean, there was kerosene poured around. There's a burnt spot all the way around where the trailer was. I mean, you could see that. I mean,
What time, I know, and when I ask you these things, just best to your knowledge in what you can remember, About what time was it that you got to the scene for the first time? Do you remember about what time that was?
Was
Well, it
in
had,
the evening, I think.
yeah,
Later
My
that
son and husband was at the scene at 9 o'clock that morning.
yeah.
was there tape up then?
Because
My son can't remember.
That's okay, because I have people. I'm just trying to see when it went up because I have people in accounts saying that they were there around 8 and there was no tape up 8 a.m. by then, and this was to have happened at what I have somebody that reached out in the comment section, and I very much appreciate her. She said that she happened to drive by about 2:30, and the way she was driving, you would pass it and have to see it from the rear view mirror. And so I asked her, I said, well, you would think if it was on fire at that time, it would catch your eye in the rear view mirror. So,
If you was driving by, you would
Well,
have seen
yeah, if
it.
you were
so
driving
that
by,
makes
you
me
could have seen
wonder,
it.
think, well, was it already out or it had not have happened to start at that time?
'Cause, I mean,
So,
it's right there, right off the road. I mean,
well, then I have people saying, it was closer to 3 when it actually broke out and the fire started. So that makes sense and it helps. It narrows it down because, like you say, you don't have reports. You have none of this, do you?
no.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really appreciate everybody that's really reaching out and trying to help us piece together what you guys, we don't know and you guys never had. So, yeah. And then by 8, so, we have it not started by 2:30, and then I have people saying it was around 3:30 it started, and it was noticed. Which, if we could get a call-in report, that would be great. Even when the 911 call was called, what time? But and then by 8 a.m., tape had not still been up. Is what my point is. Is just all that time, and there was no tape up, and just hearing that people were around that morning, just people had no business being there all around there. And it's just they didn't have any interest in securing it at all. From 3 to 8, no tape. And it just makes you wonder whose fault is that there is no, it is it's crazy. And it's just, I feel like you guys never had a chance from the beginning.
No.
You never had a shot, and it's time. It's time for that. So,
And if it was an accident, how would they have put up a reward?
yeah.
I mean,
And I would love to get that. Yeah. Yeah.
I wish the fire marshal that was there, I wish I could get in touch with him because he offered part of the reward. He was so convinced that there would be somebody charged with it.
Really? Yeah. You don't have any names of anybody that was there that morning?
Not for the fire.
I don't know.
Hmm. That would be very interesting to find out. Okay. Do you know what volunteer department was there?
It would probably be the Antioch volunteer because it was in the Antioch community.
Let me see, because
It's called the
I have
TIC community.
I have one written down. I want to see if it might ring a bell. Fairview?
Yes, Fairview.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure. Because, contrary to popular belief, I like to check my facts that I can in a case where investigators did nothing. But yeah, that's that's what I have down. And I'll message you guys after we hop off here. because I have some details about that. Uh, the morning peoples. So I'll
Okay.
read to that. Just so that way, just in case you guys don't know, it seems to be a lot you don't know. I feel like you guys should know everything that, all those people that were first there that morning that at least I know of so far. So, um, because I appreciate you guys doing this, and that's what we're here for, is to get some answers.
It's the same
And I
one we
appreciate
got
everybody
on.
coming together. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, just speaking frankly here, when I first started hearing this case was 2 decades old, I was just like, oh, I'll be surprised if we get anybody, that's willing to talk and da da da. But I'm shocked at everybody, they just seem to have the same thoughts. It's time and they're done. They're tired of people getting away with shit. And they're really coming together. They're really trying to help piece it together. And I appreciate them.
I'm
Because a
thankful
lot
for
of people,
anybody that'll come forward and talk about it.
yeah. I've had people come tell me, I'm destroying Cookie's life. And what about him? And I get that he has kids that have they were innocent in this situation, and I do. And I do take that in mind. But, for the vibes they were sending out, it's just, what about the 4 babies that died that day? And that's what I'm here for. I'm here for them, and I'm here for you guys, and the 4 families that were destroyed, and the loved ones that were destroyed because of them. I made a post before we got on here, that we know there was a survivor that night, but there was many survivors of that night that have lived with the ripples of that day, and had to deal with it. And so they're ready. They're ready to talk. Damn it. They're like, it's been too long. We're ready to talk. So I appreciate it, because
Uh,
that's how it's going to get done. You go ahead.
Now, didn't Derek and Bubby go get the kerosene for the kerosene heaters? That's what we was told.
Hmm. I
I know
haven't.
They
Derek
got
did.
I have not heard. I have not heard some that come about. So that
uh,
is a good question. No, I mean, seriously, this is what it's here for. For you guys have
uh,
had questions,
The
I
agent
mean,
told
cause
me that he did.
because I've had quite a few people, come to me and say that Cookie was there was a possibility that he was there that day during the day earlier, and
Mhm.
he was around. And then I have accounts of people telling me that afterwards, Cookie's car smelled like gasoline. And then further, I've had a few people come out and say that Cookie got pulled over that night and had a gas can in his car.
Man.
well,
I just now found out that he sent my granddaughter a friend request on Facebook. She's 13.
It's just
They said her free request for prison.
Pardon?
he's in
They sent
prison.
her
When
for
was that he
This was a couple of years ago.
oh,
yeah, for my account, he just went in like 2018, 2020 area, around that time.
He's been in and out. I think he's been
Yeah.
in prison more than out.
Oh yeah, I know. Before somebody told
yeah.
me he did a 10-year stint or something like that. Or he was in for 10 years. I don't know if he actually ended up serving the whole time. It just seems like for all these accounts and just the character of the person, him, of who he was, it's just shocking to me that they just chalked up all of these people to hearsay and didn't do, I feel like even those staff members that knew and were very well aware of the situation, that should have been enough to open up some kind of investigation into him, like officially,
Uh-huh.
publicly known.
Well,
Yeah. And
like I
I just,
said, why did Derek go outside for to sleep in the car? His aunt lived right down the road in the trailer. I mean,
Dad lived up on the hill.
you know, I don't understand that. And then, God rest his soul, Johnny Ledbetter. He was a good friend of mine because he lived here in Salina, Tennessee. I used to work with him. He married Cheryl Stafford, which lived in that trailer. That's where they lived. And down below, right there on the same side. And he specifically told me and Jackie went there. And I asked him, I said, what happened? He said, I had to pull Derek out of the car because the hood was on fire.
Mm.
I said, okay, but yet they've got the car impounded. There's no burns on it. Plus, the car was moved 3 times. If the car was that hot, why didn't it explode? If he was that close to the trailer and him sleeping in it.
I would like to see the car, at least pictures of it.
amen. That's what I said. After 20 years, I think that's at least, if they want to talk about a lot of hearsay, that'd clear up a lot of hearsay. Is just a picture, a simple
Yeah.
picture. Yeah. And I think it's very, a credible, it's time.
I mean, he specifically states in the recording, the farmer, that the car was moved at least 2 or 3 times. Now, how can a car be on fire and you move it?
Mm.
But
And the
we'll
fact of
never
the
know
matter is that they
about
did
him
move it.
because Johnny Ledbetter ain't here no more.
The fact that
And
they
neither
did
is
move it that many
Cheryl.
times destroys evidence. That right there is just
Mhm.
tampering and destroying evidence. And
I mean, like I said, I believe we've got a hell of a case here.
yeah.
Somebody's gonna have to give us answers. I mean, that's just the way I look at it. I mean, it was just done completely wrong. Somebody covered up somebody's, you know what?
Yeah. I
I
agree.
mean, in my book, I mean,
It could be very, very a good question brought up. Why? I think there's a lot of good, credible things that they could have worked with here. And they just didn't work it. And just by the accounts that I'm giving, they approached it knowing that they weren't going to work it.
no.
And that's sad because 4 people,
Mhm.
I think 4 people mattered. And what they're hiding. And it's just disgusting.
Yeah.
Now,
it's just
that was whose car was it that night? Do you guys even know whose car that was? That he was sleeping?
TJ's.
That was
It
TJ's
was
car.
TJ's.
Yeah, I wonder
You
where.
don't think so, Joe?
Yeah, we heard
And
it was
it said
TJ
that
Grandpa's
TJ
car.
was
TJ's grandpa's vehicle.
What
okay.
we heard.
See, I think maybe that's where people got confused because a lot of people thought the trailer was owned by TJ's grandparents, and maybe that's where they got confused, and it was just TJ's grandparents' car. Because I just thought that was crazy. That
I mean, I, I just want to know: do they still have the car impounded, or they auction it off, or
you would
what did
hope
they do?
so if
I
it
mean,
was an open
with
investigation. You would think
well,
so.
the first thing you need to do, I mean, see if the car was on. Of course, like I said,
Because I have
you can't
reports of
prove it.
people saying that that car was so burnt it was bubbled over, boiled over,
Well,
and that
we was
Derek's
they
dad
was
had a
told
little bit of burns
we was
on
told
him.
there was not a burnt mark on it. There was not a
See?
burnt. I mean,
And
how
I
could you
think that
move
this
with
is
that?
kind of where they wanted people. And they never expected all of us to get here and talk about all these things,
Yeah,
the different things that they were telling people.
but it. I mean, it and I wanted. I want if they took Derek to jail, and we heard when he went into jail, he said, "I done something bad. I done really something bad."
Mm.
But nope.
I've heard from a
Only
few people
person
that
there
have,
was a the night clerk or deputy or whatever. I mean, this
you
is
know,
just stuff that we was told.
I have people coming forward and telling me that, Daniel and Cookie were together, that they were actually out there selling the children drugs. And um, they had a bad batch of drugs. And I have somebody out there that says, I know this because I was out there, selling some weed after it all went down. So Cookie was out there. He was very aware. And it makes you wonder if he stayed close because how far away is what is it, seven knobs road?
Seven
That's a
Knobs
long way
Road.
from the fire. That's close to where I live.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's where people are saying, afterwards they seen a Cookie around there around about 4 o'clock in the
He
morning,
lives on that road, right off that road.
and that's where they seen him, and his car smelled like gasoline. And so he was, and it just makes you wonder, he was there throughout the day. I would be safe to say that he was very well if he was all in there. And if he had a problem, the story is that he had a problem with TJ. That TJ may have had a relationship with an ex girlfriend. Cookie did not like it. He threatened TJ. I have had somebody tell me that they heard him say, um, by the end of the weekend, you're going to pay for this. And then he came to that school. And
The
then
girl
I know people. I've had people come in and say there was a conversation. Cookie called during the school hours, and there was an argument overheard just about how pissed off Cookie was about the situation. So, I can imagine if Cookie was there during that time, during that day, he knew very much who was going to be at that party. I know it was very much, it had to have been taken serious enough to where people that were supposed to go, a lot of them had a bad feeling. And parents, people had bad feelings. That's how serious it was taken. And then it just makes you wonder, did he lay and wait for the party to calm down and go back? And that's it's just alarming that all of this and it's just hearsay and it's crazy.
Yeah. It is.
I wonder if local news investigative reporters would help bring light to this for the 20th anniversary. I think that is a wonderful idea. I think everybody should be messaging the local news reporters and telling them that, now that it wasn't reported back then, now's the time to start looking into it. Get it out there.
I reached out to one. I'm seeing if he's going to respond to me.
I think, I think the community needs to start bringing. I've been telling everybody, If you don't like we're saying, go let them know you don't like it and tell them to do something about it. So, yeah, I think that's a wonderful. I would think that would be so awesome. I mean, all us YouTubers and podcasters, as much as attention we can bring, those mainstream media people will hit harder. And so if they pick it up and they start investigating and digging it into it, then yeah, that would be wonderful. Absolutely. Oh, here, each family would have to agree to close. If one family does not agree to close it, it will stay open.
Well, I don't plan to close it.
I don't either.
Nope. And I
No,
don't think anybody here blames you.
no.
Now, I seen an ex officer. Okay, here we go. As an ex cop, there was so much that was left undone in this case, and so much that was handled in the wrong way. Absolutely, I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, yeah, I think everybody can agree on that, and I'm
There's
interested to
one
know
cop
what you
that's
would
no
have
longer
done.
there that I would
You know
like to
what?
talk to.
Yeah, I would be very much interested in to know what protocol would have been, from your perspective and your insight. Don't be a hesitate to reach out. I would love to, and I know the families would love some insight to how things were supposed to go down.
Was this person a cop on this investigation?
Yes.
I don't think
He's
so.
from,
I'm not
from the
sure.
county.
Oh yeah, no,
The
as an
one I would like to talk to was,
oh, okay. Okay, yeah. I would love to talk to any ex investigate, anybody that was on that would be willing to talk to me, and talk to all of us. Like, yeah, I think that would be so great. I mean, I know who a few of them are. I have names, and I would really like it if you guys would reach out. Yeah,
I
I think
mean,
that would just be.
commented, the person that just commented, was they a person on this case?
No, I think that they were just an ex cop just giving their insight. Um,
Okay.
but I mean, it would still be wonderful from an ex cop to hear
Yeah.
hear how things should have been done. I think that would be great.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I just,
Oh,
I
the
still
rumors.
just can't.
Okay, yes, I wanted to bring this up. So, quite a few people have reached and said, and I'll get a little specific here. So mind you, um, that before this happened, and one of the biggest questions is, how does four teenagers burn in a trailer and not try to get out? Well, there have been rumors that the window they were blocked in. They were knocked out before they were tied up, and I've just got this just very recently that more specifically that TJ was in fact the only one shot in the head, and more specifically, he was shot between the eyes.
how do they know that?
I am in the process of finding that. Yeah, like I said, I just recently got this information, so I am working. I am in the, but it was an account given by Derek. I will make sure because it was afterwards, and I'm pretty sure that that's who it was, and we woke, but yeah, there was a pretty detailed account of that,
Married
and
Stafford.
so so I would like that because, you know, like I said, our autopsy reports would be very important. Very important. And then not only that, because of who gave it was so corrupt and fired. But that's what I'm saying is it's so iffy on all sides that if possible, without going into too much detail, I know that they were pretty badly burned. You guys have mentioned that dental records were needed.
But yeah, Bubby
But
wasn't too
was there,
hard.
and I know that you guys have it, but you guys have seen the autopsy reports, and would there have been anything in there that would have suggested that they were tied up or restrained?
No, no. The body. One thing I don't understand: if they had clothes on and they was burned alive, wouldn't the fabric from that clothes be in their body somehow?
I would think that it would be all in there. People have said that smoldered for a few days afterwards. It was a pretty hot fire.
Okay.
And so I
On
would
the
imagine,
autopsy report, on our autopsy report, it says Bubby was naked.
and they were all in the same room, right? They were all found in that back add-on room together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We don't we don't know.
that's what I was
Somebody told
told.
They,
us
yeah.
because they
And
seen
that's crazy that you don't know at least that. You don't know.
we don't know because Johnny Ledbetter told me when he looked in the trailer and how he got close to the trailer, he said he could see somebody burning on a couch or something like that or a beanbag. Now, I mean, seriously, people. I mean, that's
Yeah.
baloney. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, you can't ask these questions because the man's no longer here. I mean,
And
and
a
I
lot,
don't.
and that's
But
that's
what we
why
need to know is what statement did he give? They wouldn't even not tell us what statement Johnny Ledbetter gave to him. They wouldn't tell us nothing. I mean,
and that's why, another reason this is 20, it's just crazy that it's so long and you guys know nothing.
no, there's nobody that won't tell us nothing. I mean, and just like when the TBI just called me the other day, he tried to tell me, well, you need to send all this information to the TBI agents. I'm just a
Mm.
district attorney. I'm just a lawyer. I said, no, I'm not. I want people there at a meeting, and I will show you what I've got, and we'll show you what
Seeing that,
all of us has got.
and then when we bring forth stuff like Johnny Ledbetter looking in the window, and then Mike goes right. He could have never gotten close enough to look inside without protective
No,
gear. This was a hot fire, and then a lot of things. They're just even evidence wise when you look at investigating, it doesn't add up, and it just seems that they went based off of what they said, and it just seems like they ran with the least credible people out of the whole situation versus the pretty credible people with some pretty alarming accounts going on, and it's crazy.
yeah,
And I
yeah. I
wonder,
mean,
One
what
of the
back to
county,
Sheriff Lynch and the connections and all of that, it's all relevant.
yeah.
one of the county detectives told me how they were positioned. The TBI agent didn't like it at all that I had that information.
I bet not.
But it was his buddy that told me.
Mm. That's
Well, the day we went down there, we met us at the Winnebago in the parking lot at the old grade school. They we went in there and they talked to us and they told us everything that was going on. That was Saturday, probably 3 or 4 hours after it happened. They told me to go back to Clay County and not to be back in Jackson County. That's what the man told me. He said, you need to go home and not be in Jackson County the rest of the day. And then the next morning, we went to the crime scene. And there, it was pitiful. They took us up there. It was pitiful. I mean, it was just plumb pitiful. I mean, that's the only thing I can say. I mean, but I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how somebody could do this, such a cruel thing to 4 young
And
teenagers.
live with
I mean,
herself.
Huh?
do what, honey?
And live with herself, knowing what they did.
Yeah, exactly right.
And
And
if
I
there's
mean,
somebody out there, I'm speaking to you, Derek Stafford, you need to come forward and tell it.
hey, thank you, honey. Hey, I
yeah.
still think there's no way in hell that you would go out to a car and spend the night when your aunt lives down the road and spend the night in the car when it's February the 9th, 27 degrees in the car for no reason at all. I mean,
There's
And
other people
person
that
said he
know
didn't.
stuff too.
and so the accounts of that I've gotten are, excuse me, by the end of the night it kind of died down. It was more of a couples thing, and he decided to go sleep in the, for whatever reason he went to go out to the car, or he went outside to smoke a cigarette, and the next thing he knew, he was knocked in the head, at some point put in the car, and then the next thing he knew, his dad was dragging him out. And then, you have the questions of, well, how did his dad know that he was in that car? And my question is, what did Derek do after that? Where did he go immediately after that? If the car was on fire like that, did he go to the hospital for smoke inhalation? Did he get checked out? Or did he go home? I have some people saying that in that morning afterwards, they didn't see Derek. They just seen his dad. So I
His
would just
dad
like
or stepdad?
whoever pulled him out that car was on the scene.
That'd be Johnny
And
Ledbetter.
and then I had somebody saying Daniel was out there, not Derek. They didn't see. And I said, well, are you sure? Daniel was the one that is no longer with us. Derek is the survivor. And they're pretty sure because they know who and they said, no, I didn't. It was Daniel out there with them. And so that just brings up the question of Daniel's involvement. Was he out there? And if he was, did he light it? Did Cookie spread the gasoline? Did Daniel light the fire? Many believe that Derek does know, whether he's involved or not, but at the very least does know more than what he's saying. Definitely
Well,
things don't add up.
he failed
So
3 polygraph tests.
He knows
It
exactly
smelled
what
like
happened.
exactly. Exactly. He knows
Yeah, he
exactly
does.
what happened.
And I just questions that I have, and I would like, I have that crime scene. I was talking to you about her, Jackie. She's very wonderful. She's a very pleasant person. She was on here with us with Lisa. Um, people say that, he wasn't very hurt. He just had a bump on his head. And I just, if they're saying that the car was on fire, smoke, and he was knocked out, is it possible that from that little bit of an injury that he forgot so much? You know what I mean?
That's
It's not like it was a
Mhm.
horrible accident that he cut his, there was no concussion, anything that, so for people question, how does he not remember? Um,
That's just a
a
cop
lot
out
of
right
people
there.
say that they were, I've heard that people say that they were on Xanax and just wasted and just passed out. And the accident, I guess, version would be they were all wasted, passed out on, they were doing a bunch of different drugs and drinking, and something happened with the kerosene heater, and they just didn't wake up because they were so drunk.
well. First
And
thing they told us. First thing they told us is that the kerosene heater got kicked off. Kicked over and started the fire. First thing, kerosene heater don't catch a fire when you kick it over. It'll go out automatically. Am I right?
mm, and then, yeah, and then would it burn, would just kerosene heaters lead to a trailer that smoldered for 2 days afterwards, or would there need to be an accelerant to cause that kind of thing? But this marshal, that volunteer, that report, all of those people, they would know all of this.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, I mean, and if anybody's that's been tuning in so far, you can see exactly why we're calling for answers.
It's. Somebody knows something very important. But Michelle, I'm with you, honey. Derek
Hmm.
Stafford knows something,
He does.
and he knows. Yeah, he knows exactly what. And what I want to know, did Cookie hire somebody to do all this? Maybe for drugs or something? Hey, I'll give you a little
So who
drug
had a
money
lot
to
of
get rid
money
of this
right
dog.
after this is what I'd be looking into. What one of those kids, who had a lot of money after this, right after this? I mean, not even a lot of money, whatever the pay was. Who just got a nice lump sum of money.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things ain't adding up.
No,
And Derek knows them. Derek knows. I'm just telling you, Derek knows. I don't care. They say by God he can't remember nothing.
I
Let me
don't
ask
think
you another
there
question.
is an autopsy. There's word that there was an autopsy done on Derek, or I mean, I'm sorry, Daniel. Leaving a lot of. I've seen somebody sent me a clipping that they even questioned. Was there meth involved, or was this an overdose? Did he do it? And then I have this whole side of people saying that, well, he was shot in the chest with a shotgun. So how is that even a question in the first place? Um, and a lot of people question, the shotgun in the chest. How did he reach out and shoot himself? So the question is, you know, what was his complicity is one thing, but how he died is another. And did he do it to himself? Was he guilt ridden and killed himself, or was he getting ready to talk and somebody shut him up? I have
That's
accounts
what I
saying,
think. He was getting ready to talk.
I have people reached
Yeah,
out that said that Cookie went around saying that the shotgun that killed him was his shotgun. That would be interesting to know if Cookie owned a shotgun.
Yep.
So it's crazy. And the amount of stuff that they could have looked into. And maybe they did. We don't know because it's all supposedly lost or locked up tight. You don't know.
Yeah, it's lost. Nobody
It's
don't seem
time.
to have it. But that's amazing. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
And a lot of people are giving me shit. They're saying that I'm just spreading, but I got to keep reminding them
well,
that we
I
wouldn't
tell
be
you what,
here if
sweetheart.
investigators did their job correctly. We
I
wouldn't be
tell you
here.
what, sweetheart. I'll spread some shit with you if you want to.
I told you, he said, I told you privately, I said, man, Joe, this has been 20 years. Whatever you want to get up there and talk about at this point, because, the word I'm getting is the feds or the DA or the investigator, whoever's talking to these people, allegedly, I can't confirm, but people are telling me, that they're pretty ticked off at this YouTuber that's stirring shit up. So
Well, hey,
we're
you
doing
know
our
what?
job, I think.
Hey,
And I just think if they're taking time to do that, then they have time to investigate this again. So,
well,
but I'll go
sweetheart.
up there and say whatever they say that people like me, they were insinuating the fact that I'm hindering the investigation, and
No.
and at this point, I'm asking them 20 years later, 2 decades, all this time, what is there to hinder? Because
Well,
according to a lot of people, they knew this. They went to tell them, and it was recorded when they went to talk to the TBI and the investigators. It was all recorded.
you know what the
So they
problem
feel,
is?
they did their part and they weren't listened to.
Yeah. Well,
And I want
their
to
problem
know
is
if
they
those
don't want to hear
teachers,
the truth.
what I want to know is if those teachers went and talked and what they knew and what they told. Because if they did and they weren't listened to, then I think that's a firm leg to stand on. So I have a few of their names, and I know it's been so long, I'm not quite sure who is still with us or not. I know Cookie's aunt is still with us, and she's still in the school system. I would really like to know her perspective on what went down during those times.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I would really like to know. And I have people's names. I just would like them to come talk to me and tell, come, let's get this done. I mean,
Yep.
nobody's blame, when it comes down to it was the investigator's job. It was their job to take what they had and do something with it. So I don't ever, they didn't want to hear you. We want to hear you now. And we want to show everybody why they need to why they need to do their job, why you need answers. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're doing a pretty good job. So I hope we do. I hope you guys do get that meeting. I know that they said it was going to happen, but setting a date is a different thing. So I hope they do
I believe
hold
it
it.
when
Yeah.
I believe it when I see it, or when somebody calls me, because we've only had one meeting in 20 years,
Jeez.
and
That is ridiculous.
well, I mean, they don't want to. They don't. I mean,
It's just
every
heartbreaking.
first time we went. I mean, first time we went there, they treated us like shit. Like we didn't deserve to know nothing because they had it all under control. We want closure. I mean, we want closure. That's all I ask. Closure. I want justice done for our kids. There's 4 teenagers by God that lost their life for no damn reason at all. I mean, it's time I got somebody owned up to what the hell happened that night in that damn trailer. I
Yeah.
mean,
And I think a lot of people are right there with you. I think you have a lot of support behind you to see that that happens. And now there's spotlight on it. Now people know. People didn't know. I mean, hell, people didn't even know that there was a survivor. Isn't that crazy?
yeah, I
I
mean,
just
it's,
thought most everybody knew that.
No, people that
yeah,
made,
I mean, I
I
didn't
will
think,
pop this up. The very people that made this memorial right here didn't even know that there was a survivor that night.
Wow,
And just for
that's just
anybody watching,
crazy.
I'm just going to show this was what was left of the trailer that day. And, imagine that they got the tape around it for the photo. And then this is what I have a hard time with now. Um, if nothing's being done with that property, I don't, I've been told that there have been memorials try to been put up out there and people take them down. There have been confirmed by a few people that there are no trespassing signs and pretty much stay away. There are 4 trees planted there, right?
Yep.
There are,
Yeah.
but last time we were by there, I couldn't see the 4 trees.
Yeah. So what I'm asking is, why can't the community come together, clean it up, and have a spot to come remember these kids that they knew and loved?
cause somebody, you ain't even allowed on that property. They got video cameras around it. Specifically has a sign up there. Me and Jackie took his picture, and they had a sign up there. Video cameras, private property. You have to have permission to come on here.
Or I would love to get permission to have the community who love these kids to go be able to clean it up and host a vigil. I think that would be awesome. I think, if it were me, I think there should be a bench, a little memorial spot. You guys, planted the trees. I think if they're not doing anything with it, I don't see why they couldn't go in there and do that for everyone. I think it would be wonderful. And you sent me that picture and it took me back for a second. So I can't imagine what it must be like when you go out there. You said that you were just out there the other day. What were some of the feelings that you were feeling?
Me,
Yeah,
just the overwhelming sadness.
it's just so I would very much like to do that. And yeah, like I said, it's just the little things people didn't know. How do you make a memorial for them and people that close don't even know those details? It's shocking. It's crazy. A lot of people say that they shoved this down to go after a drug side, and which is horrible. I mean, these are 4 babies that lost their lives. That's horrible. But if that's the case, then what proof do they have that that's what they did? Because I don't see anybody that went down for anything that came up out of that. It said that they used Cookie and Derek in that drug. They found this whole drug operation that ran all the way to Nashville that they were trying to uncover, and they were using them to uncover that instead. So they kept the survivor hush hush and didn't charge Cookie. And I don't see anything that ever came out of that if that was the case.
I never heard about that.
Yeah.
Uh, Nope.
So there would be proof of that. I mean, if they did that, as wrong as and disgusting as that is, I feel if they did go that route, then there would be a trail of it. You know, who got locked up? What big fish did you catch that was so much more important than four babies' lives and their justice? So I want to let everybody know real quick that we do have the new petition, and I will post it. It'll be in the link. I just want to. I'm gonna scope to my page real quick because I'm kind of interested to see where we were. The last we checked, it starts out to get to 100, then 200, and then 500. And the last I checked, and we just set it up last night, it was at over 200 and counting.
We
So
were 250 the last time I looked.
there, yes. So, yeah, if we can get that signed, I know the first post I made about, the Gainesboro Four is I just wanted to group them together, so that's what I've been calling them. People need to know there was four lives that night, but I got almost 60,000 reach on that anniversary post. And I can only, I was saying this last night, I can only imagine if all those people just clicked and signed that, what we could do. So I really, I hope that takes off. I had somebody message me from the change org saying that it has a lot of potential and I should consult with them, which but it's good. It's nice to know that they see it and that it's getting out there. So 264, and I want to keep it. I want to see 60,000. If I can get 60,000 on their anniversary post, I can get 60,000 signatures on that petition.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you coming on here. I think that you should have had this a long time ago, and I'm just happy that we could do it now. And we will see what happens. And I will be on with update information as it comes in, so that way we can have as much out there as we need. Like I said, I have a few people willing to talk, and I hope a few more people reach out after this. And we will see. We'll keep going until they say we're investigating it and something's going to be done. Justice will be served.
Exactly. Like the old saying goes, it's not over till the fat lady sings.
Amen. And I don't hear nothing yet, so all I
Mhm.
hear is alleged talks and alleged things that might happen. So I don't hear anybody singing yet.
No, I ain't singing.
Well, I appreciate you guys for being here. I drop this on my page, so if you guys want after this, feel free to go in the comments, answer any questions. I don't think you can reply in the live chat, but you can comment on the video itself and reply if you want. Feel free, you know.
Okay.
That's why I'm doing this. That's up to you. So
Thank you again.
yes, and
Thank you.
I invite you back. My door is always open. If you get off here and you jot down some things you forgot you wanted to say, you just hit me back up and say, hey Ash, let's go back on, and we'll set it up.
Okay.
All right.
I
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
honey.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys have a good night.
You
You
too.
too.
Bye, honey.
Bye bye.
I appreciate everybody for watching tonight. I am very happy to be able to do that for them. It was a long time coming. Um, there will be more people coming to speak, and I hope you guys stick around for that. They've been silenced for 2 decades, and they want to speak and they want to be heard this time. and they want people to know that they tried. So I hope you guys stick around for that, and sign the petition. It would, uh, 60,000 people on that petition would be just amazing. And there's no way that they could ignore us. So I am so glad you guys are here. Thank you for sticking around, and thank you for continuing to come and spread that awareness. They will be on. So go ahead and subscribe, hit the reminder, and I will see you guys tomorrow night. We will have Tamara on there. And she was very close with and she tried very hard. And she talked to the TBI, and she did what she was supposed to do. And now she's had to live with that for 2 decades. And I think, she needs to be heard. Everybody that wants to be heard needs to be heard. So I will see you guys tomorrow night. Please come respectful, and remember that these are people that loved these four babies that lost their life. And yeah, just think about that. The only lives that matter and that I'm here for are the 4 people that didn't get their justice, and the families and the loved ones behind them. And with that being said, this is Ash with TC Spotlight. Until next time, you guys stay safe and you have a good night.